I've got the recipe for you. This dip is just amazing. It just melts in your mouth. Ooh. Bon appetit. Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera show. You know, I work so many hours and generally speaking, my retired husband makes dinner, but he recently shot his age for the 100th time and I did a very special dinner for him. So I want to duplicate that for you today because I think you would enjoy it. We're going to start with a pan-seared scallop that's going to be served with a fennel cream sauce over fettuccine. It is delicious. Then a roasted green bean. It's really easy to do, but it's perfect with this dish. And then our favorite dessert when we go out to dinner is a lava cake. I'm going to show you how to do that at home. And then in Vera's Corner today, we're going to show you an easy pantry pasta that's wonderful. So let's get started on this first dish by making the sauce that goes with the scallops. So I went ahead and cooked my bacon in my cast iron skillet. Chop it up first because that's the way you're going to serve it as a garnish, and then you're going to reserve the drippings. I drained it on a paper towel, have that ready to go at the end. Then the pasta. You know, everybody is so confused on how much to do for two people. We're also used to making spaghetti for a crowd or for your family, but when it comes down to two, it just doesn't look like very much. So I highly recommend this little utensil. You can pick it up at Bed Bath & Beyond with your 20% coupon, but it shows you exactly how much to do for two people. I've put that into a rapidly boiling, heavily salted water because you really need that salt in the water, and just let that cook for about 10 to 12 minutes. Drain that in a colander. So now I'm ready with the reserved bacon drippings to get the rest of this sauce going. So let me turn the heat up just a little bit, and I've got some freshly grated garlic. All right, and then I'm going to add to that some fennel. And you know, these aromas and that fennel just cooks up so nicely. And the bacon drippings is just going to continue that flavor profile that you want in this dish. All right. The next thing that goes in, you don't want to cook this too much because you know garlic will burn very quickly. I'm going to add to that chicken stock and white wine. All right, so I'm going to want this to reduce just a little bit. So I'm going to turn the heat up just a touch, and we're going to walk over and get started on these beautiful scallops. So what I want to do here is just get that nice kosher salt just on the top. And you see they're on a paper towel, and I actually patted the tops of them again because you really, to get that nice sear in those bacon drippings, you need to have the scallops to be good and dry. All right, also some freshly ground pepper. And that is just, these are just going to sear up beautifully, and aren't they gorgeous? And I really love to cook them just right, really in a hot pan. Okay, so let's come back over to the pan. And you've got that, you know, it started to reduce just a little bit, but it will continue. So now I'm going to add in the cream. And this is where this really starts getting scrumptious. And you know, this is really good. This sauce is actually good on a piece of salmon. So if you want to do this whole menu with salmon instead of scallops, you know, that would be another recommendation. So you see this gigantic lemon that's sitting here. I mean, when I went in the fresh market, I thought that looks like a grapefruit, but a lemon is really great whenever you're working with fish. You see my hands have been on these scallops. Just to cut that lemon and get some of that on your fingertips really gets rid of that smell. All right, so I'm going to let this continue to reduce. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to start the sear on the scallops, get the green beans ready that are going to go in the oven and be roasted. So I've got a little bit more seasoning to do. Come back with me in just a few minutes. Welcome Welcome back, everybody, and if you're just joining me, I'm doing dinner for two, and in this particular case, I'm celebrating the fact that my husband just recently shot his age on the golf course for the 100th time, and for any of you that are golfers, you know that is a remarkable accomplishment, and he's actually up to 102 now. So we're doing a spectacular dinner, and I've got that cream sauce with the fennel and garlic. It's kind of reducing down. Just look how creamy and wonderful it looks. It's going to be scrumptious on top of the fettuccine. So now we're ready to get the scallops seared, but before we do that, I want to get the beans in the oven. So just picking up a really nice bean at the farmer's market if it's that time of year, or in the grocery store, you just want to trim the ends with your kitchen shears, and which I've already done, and now I've got just enough for the two of us to have for dinner. So I'm going to put this on a parchment lined sheet pan, and I want to just drizzle it with some olive oil. And you know, my husband really loves the southern style of any vegetable, but I think if I get these just crisp enough and nice on the inside, he's going to like it. All right, so a little bit of kosher salt and some freshly cracked pepper. And I love the fact that these are going to stay nice and green when you cook them like this. So now I want to just toss these up. Just get that coating all over with that olive oil. And I've preheated my oven to 425. So let's go ahead and drop those in. And these are going to cook for about 7 to 8 minutes, just right. So now back over to my Lodge cast iron skillet. I've already got it, you know, it's really a great seasoned pan. I've got it on like a medium-high heat. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to the pan. And remember, I got all of the scallops nice and salt and peppered on the top. So I'm going to start placing these. And then once they're in the pan, I'm going to go back and do the same thing to the top of each. So this is actually a pound of scallops. I'll probably give my husband 8 scallops, and maybe I'll eat 5 or 6. Because this is your, you know, it's a light meal. So in terms of having this, you know, you might think, well, that's not enough food for my husband, and probably wouldn't have been for mine either. So what I like to do is recommend that you go to our website, and Jones's Salad, you'll go to the search bar, you'll see that there. That's actually his salad dressing on top of just regular iceberg lettuce. So that's something we've done on the show. It's available there where all of our show recipes are at VeryVera.com. Or you might want to try Vera's salad that is in our cookbook. So that's also a really good one to make, you know, more of a 2-course, 3-course to this meal. So let's see if one of these is ready to flip. Oh, just look at that. You know, I cannot do scallops without remembering season 1, believe it or not, one of the guests on my show was Tyler Florence, and he did his specialty dish with scallops, and he did a saffron cream sauce that was amazing. So that recipe is also on our website. So I'm going to keep going with these scallops, and what's going to be great is I can keep them in my Sub-Zero and Wolf warming drawer until everything else is ready to go. So in Vera's Corner today, I'm going to give you another simple pasta recipe that's wonderful, and then we'll get started on those lava cakes. So come back with me in just a few minutes.
Vera's Corner is sponsored by TaxSlayer. It's your refund, go get it.
Cooking for two can sometimes not be the easiest thing, but if you keep a few simple staples, you can whip something up in a moment's notice. Here's a quick recipe. I'm going to show you how to make cacio e pepe, which means cheese and pepper. All you need is 6 ounces of pasta like spaghetti or bucatini, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, freshly cracked black pepper, 3/4 cup of Parmesan, and 1/3 cup of pecorino. Make sure you grate the cheese by hand. To start, bring 3 quarts of water to a boil. Season the water with salt generously. Add the pasta and cook, stirring occasionally, almost until tender. Reserve 3/4 of a cup of the pasta water and then drain. Meanwhile, heat 2 tablespoons of butter in a large, heavy skillet over medium heat. Add a teaspoon of freshly cracked pepper and cook, swirling the pan for about a minute. Add half a cup of the reserved pasta water to the skillet and bring to a simmer. Add the pasta and remaining butter. Reduce the heat to low and add the Parmesan, stirring and tossing with tongs until melted. Remove the pan from the heat and add pecorino until it's melted as well. Divide between 2 bowls and enjoy. I hope you enjoyed Vera's Corner today. You know, that dish takes me back to my childhood as one of 5 children. I'm sure there were plenty of times where there was no time and no money, and we loved that supper. So I hope you'll try that. And then what I'm doing now is getting ready for the lava cake. And we've got several restaurants that are just noted for their lava cake. And if you're going to order it for dessert, you have to do it at the beginning of the meal when you order your entree. And you'll see when we make this today why that is. But what I've done here is I've melted butter, bittersweet chocolate, and semi-sweet chocolate. And I'm such a chocolate fan that honestly I love to eat bittersweet chocolate just as it is. So this chocolate part of this dessert to me is really what makes this so unique and delicious. All right, so that is melted. Now I'm going to add that to my powdered sugar. Ooh-wee. And I want to make sure I get every drop of that. So taking it from the pan into another bowl is important because it will keep getting warm on top of the stove. All right. So now I'm just going to mix this together. And this recipe is honestly so easy when you think about what you pay for this dessert in a restaurant, when you can see that you could actually make it yourself. You know, the other part of what we're doing today in today's show is dinner for 2. For it to be special and for you to feel like you did something different and unique, there's so much that you would have to do at the last minute. So hopefully what you're seeing today is with the use of that warming drawer that we can get most all of this done ahead. Right, so that's blended. Now I'm going to add in 2 whole eggs and 3 egg yolks. And so this is just a matter of getting it good and combined. And so the other thing that I've done ahead is my ramekin dishes. So custard cups, ramekin dishes, you want them to be thoroughly prepared for this. So Baker's Joy is my favorite thing to use when I'm baking. And for anything that has to do with quick release from the pan, I always use it. I always do it at the sink because it does go everywhere, and you want to shake it well before you spray it. If it gets a little heavy, you can also take a paper towel and get some of the excess off. So now I'm going to add in my vanilla. And again, just get that hand motion going. You don't even have to get the mixer out. All right, and my flour. So today, the beans cooked at 425. This recipe is also cooking at 425, and everything is coming together in Sub-Zero and Wolf equipment that manages to make flavors not marry each other. So my scallops are in the warming drawer, my beans are finished, they're in the warming drawer, and today when I get these out of the oven, I'm also going to put those in the warming drawer. So this is good and mixed up. And now I'm just going to divide it evenly between these 4 dishes because I've made a whole recipe because I'm sure the children will want some of this as well. But you could half this if you're doing it just for 2. Gosh, just look how creamy and delicious. And you're really actually filling this almost completely to the top. And I've got it on a parchment pan, but it puffs up just like a souffle. And then presentation-wise, you could go completely crazy with this. But I think you're going to love what we're doing with our presentation on this today. All right. So for all of you chocolate lovers, we want you to go to our website at VeryVera.com. All of the recipes from today's show are going to be there, but this is one that I think the children would love to make as well. So when we come back from the break, I'm going to show you how to beautifully plate this so you'll look like a gourmet, and then we'll see about sampling some of it. So come back with us in just a few minutes. Oh my goodness, you know what? Dinner for two cannot be that hard to do. And obviously you've seen that today. And I've given you some steps along the way to make it easy so that you can be ready at the last minute. So people ask me all the time, if you had to put a kitchen together, what two pieces of equipment would you definitely have? I always say my Sub-Zero and Wolf M-Series convection oven is just great because you can cook on every rack, and then the warming drawer under it just comes in so handy. It also has a rack, so you can get things done, keep them on hold, which is actually what we've done today. So let's walk through our steps today in our 3 recipes. So we started with this wonderful sauce that has fennel, fresh garlic, cream, chicken stock and wine. It's going to go over fettuccine, and I gave you a quick tip there on how to measure it. And then we're going to serve it with seared scallops. We're going to put bacon on top. It's just going to be amazing. And then in the green beans, that's an easy thing. You know, fresh time of year when they're in season, it's wonderful, but otherwise just go to your grocery store, pick them up, trim the ends, toss them with olive oil, salt and pepper, pop them in the oven for 7 to 10 minutes, just perfect. And then finally the lava cake. Easy batter to mix up. It's just a lot of stirring. Get it into your prepared ramekins. After a minute, after it comes out of the oven, just invert it, and as you can see, you just hit that spoon and the lava comes out. That chocolate, wonderful, one of my favorite desserts. So now let's do the plating. That's actually my favorite part. So I'm going to start with a beautiful, bright colored plate that's going to pop everything we're doing. I'm going to add the fettuccine. And since there are only 2 things on the plate, I'll kind of do half and half. So I've got my fettuccine. Now we're going to add some of this delicious sauce. Nice and creamy. And just the flavors just go through this just so well. And you could do it either like this, or if you prefer to have the sauce directly on the scallops, you could do that next. All right, now I'm going to add my beans to the plate. And this is such a bright, pretty green color. All right, now let's top that fettuccine with these beautiful scallops. I cannot wait to try this. So good. And I'm doubling up on this because this is for my husband right here. This will be his plate. All right, so now let's do all the fun things on top. How about some slivered almonds on top of the beans? And let's put some bacon on top of the scallops and fettuccine. And then finally some freshly grated Parmesan. It's spectacular. And when I do this, I love to have your entree on closest to the fork side and then your vegetable there. All right, now for this dessert. The lava just came out of this. One thing that you could do now would be just to put a little bit of powdered sugar, and honestly, just actually going all over the edge of the plate makes that really, really pretty. So you could serve it just like this, But why in the world would you do that when you can order ice cream from Leopold's, for heaven's sakes? So we had a lot of different flavors to choose from, but I thought the coffee flavor would be amazing with this. And believe it or not, I don't drink coffee, but I love coffee flavor. So we're going to get a nice scoop right there in the center of that. Oh, I love it. That is just going to be delicious. And you know, this ordering from Leopold's is easy. In the Georgia area, you're going to get it the next day. So as long as you're ordering, pick out 4 of their best flavors, so you always have it in the freezer. So you see that today, using your warming drawer and getting things done along the way and just keeping them on hold has made this dinner for 2 really easy. As I said, I'm celebrating the fact that my husband's hobby of many, many years is paying off in his rewards of now shooting 100, his age for the 100th time recently. So I'm really excited for him. And you know, I always say on the Very Vera Show, no matter what you do, do it in good taste. I hope that you will enjoy setting a beautiful table for whomever your dinner for 2 is with. And I want you to come back with me again next week.